Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Bye Bye here. As some of you guys already know that I got almost 1 billion kill points in my last season 2 KvK. Right, I went from 4.7 billion points to 5.6 billion points. So I would say it's a pretty high number for like a free to play slash low spender player. Uh, and especially right, I wasn't loaded up with resources. Right, I migrate to 2361 like 3 days before the KvK season 2 open. Right, so like I wasn't like packed with resources, and I had to fight pretty smart. Right, I had to be smart when I was fighting. And okay, I wasn't fighting like T4 player, okay? Right? We were fighting against 2375, which is a very strong Imperium Kingdom, and most of them using T5. They have a lot of strong player. And sometimes we fighting against 2364 as well, a lot of strong Korean player, okay? So today, I want to show you guys what marches that I use to help me achieve that number, right? And some reason behind why I'm using those marches, okay? So let's go into the expedition here because my other marches are farming. So it's gonna be easier for me to show you guys the marches that I were using in my last KvK season 2. Okay. So first marches that I had were tronalex. Okay. So some of you guys might be asking, okay, why using tronalex? Like because the two commander shield do not stack. Okay, right. So we got a shield here for 1200 for Charmatel, and we got another shield here for 1200 as well for Alex, right? If you don't get attacked and these two shield activate at this kind of like right after one another, then they don't stack, okay? That is something that I've tested already. So that is the downside for using this pair. But like when it comes to fighting, right, your shield wear off very quickly, especially when it comes to like big murder ball fight. So tronalex can work and can work very well, especially in KvK season 2. From some of the reports that I see, always positive, even though they cannot do a lot of like AoE skill damage, but the single DPS on this pair is very high, and they are also anti-swarm. And another reason why I want to use tronalex together, because I want to have a very fast and tanky infantry pair that can charge ahead and can start taking on some damage. And by the time they're taking some damage, some of my other slower marches that can get in and can start attacking, right? So let the enemy kind of focusing on the fun line marches first. Sometimes people smart, they focusing on they try to go for like, the marches behind, but hey, if they're going to ignore my tronalex, then my tronalex gonna be able to get that damage in early, and my Alex gonna be able to catch the skill, which is a very strong expertise. When he casts his skill, like the enemy taking 30% more damages, right? So they either ignore my tronalex, I'm getting some free kills, or they gonna try to swarm my tronalex down, which is they gonna have to pay because I have a crazy amount of like counter attack damage here. One of the strongest anti-swarm marches in KvK season 2. So that is march number 1, tronalex. Okay, so the reason behind fast, tanky, anti-swarm, high single DPS. Market number 2 is YSG and lsit. Okay, so initially I was running YSG and Mermaid, but Mermaid was a little slow, right? And it didn't work out very well for me, and it was not super tanky, right? So I changed from YSG Mermaid to YSG and lsit, and it worked very well for me. lsit bringing in that extra 20% defense, which is very much needed because they are going after my YSG all the time. And then also that 15% march speed bonus as well. This pair can keep up with my other. This pair can definitely keep up with my other commander. So that is another one right here. YSG and lsit. So some people might be saying, okay, you should be using lsit primary. Okay. So for me, it doesn't matter. Okay. Why? Because I'm using so people were saying that like if you're using lsit primary, you can benefit from that skill damage. Okay, so like if you're running max like talent tree, skill talent trees, and yet lsit primary makes sense. But I prefer more on the archer talent tree. Right, the archer talent tree for me, in my opinion, on the open field, the archer talent tree is a lot better than the skill talent tree because it gave more stats. It gave more things that only work for archer. And it just worked better for me. So like I do have a Z2 commander at level 60. My YSG is archer talent 3 max, and my lsit is skill talent 3 max, right? I can switch the two in and out depend on what I want to be primary, but primary YSG, if you going with that like max archer talent 3, right, YSG work very well. And if you do not like, if you kind of lacking the golden star to get commander to level 60, I would strongly recommend you guys just focusing on your YSG get to level 60. The archer talent tree work very good, and you can also using YSG and mermaid in sunset cannon as well. As you can see right here, I believe I'm using YSG and mermaid yet. YSG and mermaid in sunset cannon, right? So if you have an actual golden star, you can wish the golden star on lsit, get him to level 60, and you can try Z2 out like and see if what works best for you. But for me, right, YSG and lsit work better for me. Same thing, right? And it's because I'm using the max archer talent tree here on YSG, so I don't need to have a YSG secondary, right? So lsit secondary is the same thing. Okay. The third pair that I used in my last KvK was Saladin and Mermaid. Okay, so like initially, right, I think I was running Saturn and Ethelflaed, but then I changed it to Saturn Mermaid after I moved my, so like I was running YSG and Mermaid, right, but it didn't work out, so I run YSG and lsit, and then I got my Mermaid free, so I used Mermaid with Saladin. Okay. And it worked out very well for me. One thing that Mermaid can work very well with Saturn is that skill damage increase, right? So 20% skill damage increase here work well for his active skill as well for Saturn active skill as well. Mermaid also bringing in that actual attack, 20% increase attack here, right? So if you're running cavalry on Saturn and Mermaid, you're going to get that 20% attack increase, which is kind of a what Saturn kind of lacking in terms of DPS here, right? So Saturn does come with a lot of like tankiness, skill damage reduction, and health and defense. He also have a 20% increase attack, but like hey, 20% more they definitely help as well. But Saturn is pretty tanky commander with a lot of defense here, a lot of like skill damage taken reduction. It worked out. It worked out. He worked out well, and he can also counter Richter as well, right? Saturn definitely counter Richter healing when it comes to an open field fighting. So Saturn Mermaid worked out very well for me. So that's that increase, that troop capacity that can help my Saturn bring a little bit more troop capacity, so that I can deal more DPS on the field, and also last a little bit longer as well with that actual like 20,000 troop capacity. Alright, my number 4 pair is Richter and Ethelflaed, right? So I think initially I was running Richter and Sun Tzu, okay? But then because my Ethelflaed is free, so I switch it back to Richter and Ethelflaed here, right? Z2 Commander have a kind of a synergy, right? Because Ethelflaed has that expertise, right? Deal 20% increased damage to enemy when they are affected by slowdown, right? So like Ethelflaed herself also already has that slow debuff, but Richter himself also bringing in a slow debuff as well. So whenever Richter debuff on the target for 2 seconds here, my speed reduction by 15%, Ethelflaed expertise gonna kick in right there. So kind of a pretty good synergies there between the two commander, and very good, I would say a pretty good support marches there for me. Not a very high crazy DPS, but you can provide a very good debuff here from Richter and another super crazy debuff from Ethelflaed here. One of the reasons why I am opting out for not using Sun Tzu, right? So Richter and Ethelflaed. Next one I have a Constantine and Joan of Arc, right? So sometimes I run Constantine and Joan of Arc. Sometimes when I need more skill, small kills, I run Constantine and Sun Tzu. Okay, so kind of an interchange here, depend on situation. Sometimes I feel like I'm gonna need more support here because the enemy pretty tanky, pretty strong command, pretty strong player, then I'll bring out some Joan of Arc for that early buff. Or when I feel like my Constantine gang swarm a lot, then I'm bringing out Sun Tzu, because Sun Tzu gives that actual more defense and health stat increase here and 10% damage reduction. But most of the time I was running with Constantine and Joan of Arc for that support buff, right? So Z2 Commander, Constantine himself providing that 10% damage reduction for Marches. Joan of Arc provides that crazy rage engine and also very good stat increase buff as well. One of the strongest buff in the game to date still, right? Joan of Arc, one of the very strong epic commander. And Z2 commanders work very well for Season 2 and Season 3 KvK. Definitely. For Season 4, Season of Conquest KvK, you can use them still, but they kind of losing out their value compared to some of the other layer commanders. But so those are the 5 commander pairs that I use in the last KvK to help me achieve almost 1 billion kill points. Okay, guys. Like, yes, right. Having the commander is one thing, but another thing is that you gotta be active on the field, right? You gotta be active there fighting, right? And when you don't have a crazy amount of resources, you gotta fight smart, right? I'm not gonna lie, right? I'm not one of those big spender who have unlimited resources, who can run like all of the T5 marches, just charging in the enemy and just getting wrecked, and who don't give a shit, right? I'm a super low spender. Like, I stopped spending. I would consider myself free-to-play player, but some people don't. But I don't give a shit what you think. But like, hey, for someone who do not spend a lot of money, right? Let's say someone who do not spend a lot of money, like either you don't spend money or you spend a very low money. You gotta pick the right commanders, but you also have to be active fighting, and you gotta fight smart as well, right? Be smart on the field when you fight. If you want to see how I fight on the field, by all means, dropping by on some of my stream when I stream my KvK. Like, I fight aggressive sometimes, but I'm not that like stupidly aggressive, right? Like, you guys see me fighting. Like, I fought aggressively, but like, I know when to play aggressively and when not to play aggressively, right? I play aggressive when I see my kingdom kind of have more players than the other kingdom. But like, when I see that the enemy kingdoms, they have more players, then I gotta adjust my play style. Okay, so that is something you guys gotta learn, right? You gotta learn to playing the game. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video today, and thanks again for watching, guys. Peace.